Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhamaddanieal bin Mohamaddiah, and I will present about the lateral thinking by Edward de Modo. The content in this slide is first we have what is the lateral thinking. After that, history of lateral thinking, method of lateral thinking, the use of the lateral thinking techniques, and the difference between the lateral thinking and pass and bits design. Okay, right now, first we must know about the originator of the lateral thinking, which is Dr. Edward de Modo. You can see the picture Dr. Edward in the right of the slide. Okay, Dr. De Mono was born in Malta. He was a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford, hold MA in Psychology and Psychology from Oxford, and Medicine, and also PhD from the Cambridge. World renowned consultant to business, government, school, and industry. And he is the author of 70 books. So now we go to the what is lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is solving problem through an indirect and creative approach. It uses reasoning that is not immediately obvious and involving ideas that may be obtained by using traditional step by step with the logic. Okay, as you can see in the slide, the lateral thinker is deliberate, systematically creative thinking process. Deliberate looks at the challenge from the complete different angle. Okay, lateral thinking is search for alternative, which is in the simple word we can say it as a vision. After that, look to get away from the partner, which is inside thinking. Sometimes we need to ignore all the logic direction and move sideways by reforming the patterns, which is, in other words, we call it creativity. It is an attitude of mind, which is the innovation. Uh, it's low probability thinking, which is we use it to generate more imagination so that we can solve the problem uh, with different way of looking at that things. Okay, lateral thinking is also for the concept and perceptions. Uh, with the lateral thinking, we have the ability to think creatively, which is we can think outside the box. Okay, at the right picture, you can see in the above the people standing in the parts, and he can see the problem. So the problem we must settle by using the lateral thinking, which is we can go to the left or the right. So it's not only for the forward going. We can also climb out the wall to solve the problem. So literal thinking in the form of ideation where designer approach problem by using reasoning that disruptive or not immediately obvious. They use indirect and creative method to think outside the box and see the problem from radically new angles and gains insight to help find innovative solution. So Dr. Edward have said that you cannot dig a hole in the different place by digging the same hole deeper. I get it from the lateral textbook. So this means by trying harder in the same direction may not useful as changing the direction. Effort in the same direction approach will not necessarily succeed. Okay, here we have two situations to solve the maze parts. First, if we use the traditional logic, we must follow the path until we get from point A to point B. But if we use lateral thinking, the creating implies rule. So we just go directly from A to point B without we must go into the maze. So in this perspective, lateral thinking is more easier to handle, and we must think outside the box to solve the problem. Okay, now we go to the history of lateral thinking. De Bono defined that the lateral thinking as a method of thinking concerned with the challenging concept and perception. He also invented the term called lateral thinking. It was written up in the book called The Use of Lateral Thinking in 1967. In that book, he said that a set of systematic techniques used for changing concept and perception and generating new concept by De Bono in 1967. According to the Edward De Bono, in his word, lateral thinking is closely related to the creativity, but whereas creativity is often only the description of a result, and the lateral thinking the description of the process. With the understanding of the history of lateral thinking, we can define that lateral thinking is philosophical approach that cultivates an awareness of preference for out of the box or unexpected solution to the problem. It's built on the observation and often lean towards straightforward, obvious solution to the problem, and instead encourage us to seek more oblique, innovative answer. With the lateral thinking, is concerned not with playing with the existing piece, but with seeking to the change those every piece. Okay, now we go to the method of the lateral thinking. First, we have idea generating, which is idea generating is the tool that intend to break the current thinking patterns, which is we need to change our mind in generating idea by change the routine of the patterns. After that, we have focus tool, which is focus intent to broaden where to search for our new idea. In the focus tool, we can say that in order to generate the idea, we must see other solution to to make more idea so that we can get the brilliant idea. After that, we have the harvest tool. Harvest tool is to ensure more value is received from the idea generating output. So in this case, we choose what we call that, choose the idea from what we have been generate before. After that, we go to the treatment tool. Treatment tool is promote consideration of real world constraints, resources and support. The technique that related to the lateral thinking to the problem are characterized by shifting of thinking pattern away from predictable or entrance thinking to the new unexpected ideas. Okay, now we go to the use of the lateral thinking. Uh, Lateral thinking is the mental process of generating ideas and solving problem by looking at a situation or problem from a unique perspective. It is the ability to think creatively or outside the box. So, the uses of lateral thinking generally have two, which is generating new ideas and solving the problem. For generating new ideas, the new ideas mean we must have the new inventions. Perhaps we need to have the new ideas, including of doing things, new way of the looking things or the problems, new way of the organizing things, uh, new way of the presenting things, and the new ideas about the ideas. So to solve the problem, lateral thinking will often to produce solution whereby a problem appears as obvious in hindsight. So it is still finding out that what caused the problem, then figure out the ways to fix the problem. For example, if the production line produce 1,000 books per hour, lateral thinking may say that drop it out of 800 would lead to the higher quality and more motivated worker, because the time and the total production will be low, and the workers will have time to make the output become more higher quality. Okay, so as you can see in the right slide, uh, have the picture from point A to point B. Okay, for the analytical picture, that is straightforward from point A to point B. That is because we have the step, we have the, we have to do the experiment, we have to design the solution uh, in the organizing manner. So with the lateral thinking, we can just keep, or we can just think outside the box to solve the problem. That is one of the use of the lateral thinking. Okay, now we go to the lateral thinking techniques, which is I have list down 7 techniques. We have alternative. The means by alternative is we use concept to breed the new ideas or other ideas. After that, challenging assumption, which is we use it to sharpen or to change the focus to improve the creative effort. Next, we go to the suspended judgment, which is means by the limits of accepted ways of doing things. After that, we go to the entry point, which is the input to the open new lines of thinking provocation and the movement. After that, we go to the reversal method, fractionation, and the random simulation. Okay, for the technique alternative, it's mean by any particular way of looking thing is only one from among many others possible way. Uh, with the lateral thinking is concerned with exploring the other way by restructuring and rearranging the information. Okay, the picture in the left side of this slide is taken from a lateral thinking textbook, which is we have the point A to the direct to the point B, which is this is the traditional thinking. And after we go to the sum of restructuring the ideas, we have found that we can create another a's, which is a prime, to the b and the b prime. So we have another way to go to the b, to the point B. After that, in the last picture, which is indirect, we can connect all the parts from point A to the A prime, and A prime to the B, and B to the A. So A generate alternative might prove a useful starting point. Generate alter might usually solve the problem without further effort. A generate alternative might serve to rearrange things so that the problem is solved indirectly. Okay, now we go in the challenging assumption. The purpose of lateral thinking of the challenging assumption is to try and reconstruct any pattern. Assume that certain boundaries so that it's much easier to solve the problem by reducing the area within which the problem solving has to take place. uh, the function of the challenging assumption is to solve the problem solving, to make the decision making, and to plan the strategy. The value of this challenging assumption is looking at the problem with the new assumption and may lead to the more creative solution. So it say that we can use the challenging assumption as the way to create more creative solution to solve our problem. So another technique of lateral thinking is suspended judgment, which is the suspended judgment is an idea will survive longer and will breed the future's idea, and the idea of others can be accepted for stimulating effect instead of being rejected. After that, suspended judgment also, if we have the ideas that obviously wrong, we can shift the attention from why it is wrong and how it can be useful. After that, in the suspended judgment, we prefer to explore or evaluate evaluation as the most important thing that can be done to an idea. So in this case, if we have the ideas that we looking it is not to solve the problem, but it's obviously the wrong concept to solve the problem. But we must shift our attention to see what is the idea behind the concept that we can use to solve the problem. We not take uh, the one solid point of idea. We just take a part of it in the suspended judgment. Okay, another lateral thinking techniques is the entry point, which the concept of entry point is referred to the part of the problem which we approach it and what attention the area in the part of the problem we focus our main effort. After that, for the random stimulation, stimulation is the addition of unrelated information in order to generate the original thought pattern that was being used in order to approach the problem. It is used in creating slightly different angle of viewing the problem. Okay, next we go to the reversal method. It is the another of the technique of the lateral thinking. By reversing the problem statement, the creative solution will be generated in finding a suitable solution. One of the use the reversing producer in order to escape from the absolute necessity to look at the situation in standard way. It does not matter whether the way makes sense or not. For once one escape, it become easier to move in other direction as well. So the reversal method is disrupting the original way of looking at the situation or freeze information that can come together in a new way. So we can see that the reversal method is absolutely necessity to look at the situation. We must think outside the box. So we can make the new way to make sense or not to escape the problem easier. After that, we can think about the other solution to solve the another problems. another technique in the lateral thinking, which is fractionation. Fractionation is the idea of breaking down a problem, design or function into each of its component parts and then examine each in detail. That means that we have one problem, we break down the problem into some parts until so each part we can solve it in the detail. Edward used example of trying to get apple from the tree. This involved many different components, including going up to the tree, reaching for an apple, uh, and picking the apple from the tree, making sure that the apple is undamaged and is being picked, transport the apples. Each each of these then be examined in the different way of looking different ideas. For example, if you think about the idea of picking apple from the tree is certain height, so whatever you are using to pick up the apple has to be able to reach the apple. But the trend lies an assumption. Why not the plant the tree in a small trench so that as the trees grows, the apple are at the optimal height for the picking. So in the fractionation, we can use to solve the problem by breaking down the the main problem into several component of the problem, and then we solve the problem, uh, each part in detail, so we can get more new ideas and we can think outside of the box about the part of the problem that we have been breaking down. Okay, now we go to the pass and bits model. Pass and bits model is the systematic approach that have described about the engineering design as a sequence of four phases, which is the task clarification and the specification. Next is the conceptual design, which is to develop the preliminary layout and form design, select preliminary layouts, and refine and evaluate against the technical and economical criteria. After that, primary layout, which is we optimize the design, check for errors and cost efficiency, and lastly is the definite layout, which is we finalize the details, complete drawings and projection documents, and checks all the documents. This picture is taken from the ResearchGate website. The differences between lateral thinking and past and bits models, which is the lateral thinking is changing concept and perception to generate new idea. This means by the new ideas is described on the process of creating and developing the virtual ideas. So we can use by changing the concept application to generate the new idea. After that, lateral thinking is understanding of self-organization information, which based on my understanding, uh, uh, inside the brain have the pattern of the making system. It will be established pattern, becoming routine way of the way of we looking of the things. After that, lateral thinking is provocative. This means by we are trying to move across from one other patterns of thought to another, purposefully breaking out of the particular way of the reasoning to see the things in another new way. It's mean by provocative is mean we look at the something in the new way. Okay, for the past and batch model, it is the engineering analysis, the standard method that used in education. The focus on solution and its aim to get perfect of the outcome. Pass and batch also work principally and individually. Pass and batch have the design specification and communication. Okay, now for the similarity between the lateral thinking and past and batch is the similarity between the lateral thinking and past and batch are very fundamental. It's not matter of the process of being more effective, but it is a matter of realizing the different order to able to use both effectively. With analytical thinking, the use of the information to move forward, and with the lateral thinking, the use of the information will be provocatively in order to bring out the solution. Okay, this is the word that taken from the lateral thinking textbook. It says that whenever a solution is said to have been reached by lateral thinking, there is always logical pathway by which the solution could have been reached. Hence, what is supposed to be the lateral thinking is no more than a plea for better logical thinking. Okay, what I have understand about the lateral thinking, uh, I I apply it in the Sultan Muhammad Al-Fatih mission, which is to conquer the Constantinople. One of the strategy is of Sultan Muhammad Al-Fatih is he lift up the ship across the hill here, because there is a big and a long change across the river. So the ship cannot cross the river and get to the strategical position here. So in other way to cross the the chain without which can cross the river. He Sultan Muhammad Fatih decided that he and their soldier leave the ship and cross the hill here. So this is one of the another way and another strategy that we use in our daily life. We if we cannot go forward, we go to left and right. So the important things is we solve the problem with the creative solution. That's all from me. Thank you.